call this meeting to order. Sorry, it's a little late. Anybody want to give the invitation? I'll give it today. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the chance to come together, Lord, and just do the people's business, Lord. I pray that you'll please get my own initiatives and will out of the way, Lord, and the same way with everyone at the table. And I pray that you'll please just answer to the people and do the will of them. In Jesus' name I pray, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, can we move the aid agreement between Sumner and Robertson County right after right above the animal control?
Yeah, I don't mind. Does anybody mind that? Without objection, let's just do that. Okay. Anything else at all?
Second.
Real fast, before we do that, I have one quick thought. On this ad hoc discussion, I'd like to just kind of discuss that a little bit more detail on just like, whether or not what that looks like and what options we have, because I know that was the reason for the ad hoc possibility. Just whatever you guys want to talk about. I don't have any strict thing. Just I want to keep it a little bit looser than just the ad hoc itself. Is that okay with everybody?
I'm okay.
I was going to have even the sheriff speak on it, but he's not here, but Captain Ford could maybe speak on it for us. Okay? Okay, so without objection, everybody's already motioned, seconded. Everybody still good with that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Recognition of public. I like it. Okay, can I have Mike come up, please? Would you mind just state your name and address and what you're speaking on?
I'm Mike Gorham. I live at 1116 Parks Chapel Road in Portland, but I'm speaking on behalf of the city of Millersville tonight. As you all know, Millersville was without a fire department for about 10 months this past year, and I'm speaking because we're very concerned about funding for the volunteer fire departments. And the fire department, Station 51, responded to 165 calls in Millersville during the 10 months that we were without a fire department. They had 4 building fires, 2 chimney fires, 4 car fires, 1 grass fire, 33 wrecks, 70 medical calls that they responded to. And without the volunteer fire department that served our area while we were without one, Millersville would have been in bad shape. So we want to encourage you to support them. I know they're asking for a small increase in their budget and their funding this year, and I just want to speak on behalf of them. They're vital to the people that live outside the cities in the county, and occasionally to even some of the people in the cities when something like what happened in Millersville happened this year. And I apologize, but we have a commission work session, so I need to leave unless you have some questions.
Do y'all have any questions?
It's supposed to.
We're not supposed to public comment anyway, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna give my seat up just because it seems a little ridiculous to be sitting out here. So any of y'all that are female,
They're sitting there.
oh, she's there. Y'all take it. Okay, so this will keep y'all short. The Lord kept me short. Okay, so Brad Williams, please, you come up.
Brad Williams, 1916 Highway 31W. Of course, I'm here for the volunteer fire departments. First off, we've been going through this for a long time now, and so I think a lot of you already know what we're here for. We're looking for this increase. Sumner County has always underfunded the volunteer fire departments and always wanted us to do it on our own, which I understand. Back in the 50s and 60s when most of these departments were started, or at least some entity of them, the county didn't have any kind of budget. Now with the budget that the county has, I think it's time to step up and take responsibility for the county that we serve. I know if the volunteer fire department didn't take up what we did years and years ago, the county would be doing it now. and we're saving you a ton of money and have for years. So I think at the time it's just come to be here. So, let's see here, I have a note here, one number. Don't forget that we did have a volunteer fire department ad hoc that did this back last summer. It was started, so a lot of the discussions about Blount County, the subscription type services, by the utility type services, that we wouldn't have to discuss it all at this table, because y'all have so much going on. That's why you assigned it to me, Mr. Wright, Mr. Harris, and some others to really go through this and figure out the best option. We had long discussions about it. We brought to the table that this funding formula, along with the contracts, would serve the county the best, like it has with counties all around Tennessee. And I really think that you will find that that's the best route to go. I really hope that y'all don't spend a whole lot of time on this tonight and kicking around every small little detail, as sometimes happens. Like I said, there was a long discussion, and we're going to have to fight it again in legislative. We're going to have to fight it again in budget. We're going to have to fight it again at the big county commission meeting. So if you would please, it's already passed this committee once. I would ask that you do it again. Let's see here. And I really hope y'all can find it in your hearts to do this. We've got a good system. We've got a good formula. The law director, I don't think, has had a chance to look at the contract, because he won't even do that until it goes legislative. So if we just pass this on, we can move it to the next level, and I feel like it'll serve the county the best. Thank you.
Joe, please.
I'm Joe Williams. I'm fire chief currently at the White House Community Fire Department, 1916 Highway 31W in White House. This is my 47th year, and after this year, April the 14th, I'm officially retiring. So what I'm telling you is I've been up here 47 years asking for a little money. Things have just really gotten more tighter. Our trucks that we purchased 10 years ago are almost 3 times as much today. I think we've got one of our new ones out here today, if you care to look at them. But they're just, our expenses have gone up, our donations have gone up. Of course, we're in a different situation. We get funding from Robertson and funding from Sumner. And I will say Sumner's lacking quite a bit. I just ask you, please don't kick this can down the road anymore. We've got to have something done. Thank you.
Thank you. I hadn't been timing, you guys been keeping it short, but as sure as I'm timing, it's going to be back to you. So I better pay attention to that. Okay. Joe McLaughlin. Please come up and say your name.
Joe McLaughlin, I'm the chief of Cottontown. I live at 2238 Highway 25, Cottontown. Volunteer fire departments are back on the agenda again tonight. At the September 2024 meeting, 5 months ago, this committee voted on and passed the recommendations of the Volunteer Fire Department Ad Hoc Committee. Those recommendations are for contracts with the volunteer fire departments to provide services and the use of a formula to determine individual volunteer fire department funding levels. For some reason, the committee voted to send the contract to the Budget Committee when it should have went to the Legislative Committee. The 2 major reasons for contracts are to relieve the county of liability and give the volunteer fire departments a guaranteed and stable funding sources. Volunteer fire departments are unable to get loans for major purchases such as apparatus, building additional fire stations, and other capital expenses without a stable source of income. It also saves the committee time in that the volunteer fire departments won't have to apply for funding each year. The funding formula is simply a tool that can be used by the volunteer fire departments and the Budget Committee to determine the level and distribution of the county donation. Instead of the current practice of only considering how many stations a department operates, factors that are unique to the individual departments are considered. This includes the size of the fire district, ISO rating, property values protected, and the number of stations operated. At the September meeting, there was a spreadsheet showing the funding formula with values entered. Those values were examples to demonstrate how the formula works. We did not vote on how much money the volunteer fire departments were to receive. The volunteer fire department nonprofit funding requests do not go through the Health and Emergency Services Committee. The applications and supporting documents go to the Finance Office and are forwarded directly to the Budget Committee. Those applications for the upcoming fiscal year have already been submitted and are on the way to the Budget Committee. Volunteer fire departments did use the formula to develop our funding request. Nothing has changed since the committee voted to approve the recommendations last September. Volunteer fire departments are the same. The calls for service are still increasing. I still get questions from residents asking why in the 21st century the county doesn't provide full-time fire service, and if the property tax increase will result in increased funding for the volunteer fire departments. In the attachments to the agenda are documents related to subscription and utility district fire services. When I saw them, I asked myself why they were there and who asked they be added to the agenda. These models were discussed in the ad hoc committee. The volunteer fire departments have researched them and had extensive discussions. A utility district fire service such as one county has to be set up by the county commission. When we contacted Blount County to ask questions, the first comment from their fire chief was, "Don't do it. It's a terrible system." As far as we can determine, Blount County is the only such fire service in the state. Karnes Fire Department is the example used for a subscription fire service. They are not a volunteer fire department. They have 24/7 staffing. Some of their service areas cover small municipalities. The municipalities pay the subscription fees for their residents. This wouldn't be the case in Sumner unless the county agreed to pay the subscription fee for residents in the unincorporated areas. Other problems with the subscription service are the logistics and time to get it set up. Volunteer fire departments don't have the time, staff, and resources to set up and administer a subscription service. How do you keep up with new construction? We would literally have to visit every piece of property in our fire district to get it set up or hire an outside company to administer the program. There are several schools, including the largest school complex, Liberty Creek, and other county property in unincorporated areas that would be subject to the subscription fee. How do you force non-subscribers to pay bills? Subscription would be placing an additional financial burden on citizens in the unincorporated areas of the county, most of whom just saw the property taxes go up. Charging for services isn't in the volunteer fire service DNA. Volunteer fire departments have saved the county millions of dollars over the years. Contracts and a funding formula will help the volunteer fire departments improve services and continue to save the county money.
Mark Ryan.
Good evening, Mark Ryan, 308 Conder. You think after 35 years as a career fire officer from a large department, I would hang up my boots and I'm done. I miss it. I miss the camaraderie, I miss the service, and I miss everything about this room right here. I was on the union for a large career department. 98% of this large career department's budget was salary. 98%. That's only 2% for equipment. So you're getting the best bang for your buck with the volunteer system. I hope that you understand that the men and women that volunteer do it out of the love for their community. You've got 18-year-olds and you've got 80-year-olds. You're not going to find that demographic in a lot of other jobs anywhere in the country, never mind the world. But the volunteer departments do it because they love the job, they love the camaraderie, and they love to save people's lives and property. I just hope that you can find it to give them the funding that they're needed so that they can buy the turnouts, the equipment, the diesel fuel, all the things that come on a daily basis. You're getting a 98% free service from volunteers. I hope that sinks in. It's a lot of savings. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I forgot to get this. timer, so I appreciate you keeping it short.
I was gonna give my time to Joe anyways.
I can't read this one, is it Davey? Or Doug?
Doug.
Doug, sorry.
That would be me. Doug Lee, 231 Bowling Branch Road, Cottontown, Tennessee. And I am the chaplain of the White House Community Volunteer Fire Department. And like each of you, I have sat in the chair to vote on spending and tax increases for Robertson County. I was commissioner back long ago when I had hair. At that time, we had a full-time fire department in Robertson County. I had to vote to raise taxes to increase their subsidy. It was very unsatisfactory. Now, they are making donations to the volunteer fire departments, and it's a much better system, much better countywide response from one station in Springfield to about 6 stations around the county. And the cost, can you imagine what it costs to hire a fireman, send them to school, to send them through all of the training? That's what you're facing as opposed to the volunteer. Now, I was a volunteer on the ambulance service in Sumner County, and we had a very small budget. The paid, what is the paid now, about $8 million? Well, back when I was on it in '77, it was $100,000. So, you know, when you start paying salaries, benefits, insurance, that's your choice. So I implore you to be generous with the fire department so that we can have adequate equipment. We don't have to worry about whether or not we've got money for diesel, because I don't know if any of you bought fuel lately, but it's a tad more expensive than it used to be. And it used to be an engine cost, you get a pretty decent engine for $100,000, and now it's $600,000. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. I know you don't always get thanked, and I wasn't real happy when my property taxes went up, but you'll save it in the long run by investing in the volunteer fire department. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you. Steve Frost, please. State your name and your address.
I'm Steve Frost with the Shackle Island Volunteer Fire Department, 313 Galveston Road in Hendersonville. I just wanted to tell you folks that we're very thankful for Sumner County. Y'all been very good to us. We have a very, very nice building because of the county commission, and it's helped us a lot over the years. Joe said 47 years, so I've been helping him for 45 years. He did 2 years by himself. But we just really appreciate y'all, and hope you can look at this and maybe up our funding a little bit. The same thing everybody's saying, I know volunteers, because this is what I do, they love doing emergency services. It's just in their blood. They love it. They love serving. It's you know, my father never understood why somebody would be a volunteer firefighter. And he said, well, Daddy, you play golf. These folks love emergencies. It's the same thing. It's just different. So I do appreciate you, and I appreciate your time very much. Thank you.
Wayne Graham.
Yes. I'm Wayne Graham. I live at 1120 North Point Road. I'm here to represent Oak Grove Fire Department. We cover 62 square miles of the county. And we've stepped into a new building that's being built right now, and we really appreciate that. The county's getting that done for us. And it's going to be it's a big asset trying to get all of our equipment inside, where we've had to store equipment outside, which we've been discussing before. But anyway, Jay, thanks for that. The ground's been broke, they're moving dirt, so we're thrilled on that. The funding still needs to be increased. We need to get a stable funding that we know from year to year, we're not gonna get cut, which is what the contract does. I've been involved in the fire service since I was a teenager. Been involved in 4 different fire departments in 3 different states. And I've watched the funding over the years, and the method for the funding has drastically changed in the last 50 years. And I've seen in other areas, in other states, other counties, that the funding has changed such that the county's supportive. This county right now is not providing the support that the volunteers need to continue to function and function within the standards and codes that we have to meet. Whether you're doing training or buying equipment, we have to buy the equipment that meets the standards. And we have to make sure our people have that equipment that meets the standards. We don't meet all the standards. We meet the codes, but some of the standards we can't meet, especially with our apparatus, because we don't have the money to do that. Our department right now is looking at another vehicle we've got to replace. And because the vehicle that we're using had a catastrophic mechanical failure. So we delayed a little bit getting it because we don't have any place to put it inside until we get this building done. But now we're looking for it because we can't wait till the building's here. We're going to have to get the vehicle because we're not going to buy a new vehicle. And we've got to look now at what we can afford and try to get the best value between now and that time. And we're looking at that. But the money that we're asking for, I know it's an increase. We got an increase last year, but it's been needed for a while, and it's going to continue to need. The needs are there. The contract, all the volunteer fire chiefs and fire departments have agreed that that's the way to go. You get a 4-year period there that we know we got some funding, and we know that that's the funding that's going to be there. We're not going to come back and ask for additional budget for those during that time frame, because we have a contract. So we appreciate y'all moving it forward. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Do y'all handle Tweedo Creek ever?
Do what?
Tweedo Creek.
I don't know what.
Just trying to say, you look familiar. I thought you showed up one time when I set my alarm off.
Oh, no, we don't.
We all look the same.
Okay, so next, Corey Young, please, and I'm state your name and your address, please.
Yeah, Corey Young with Highland Volunteer Fire Department, I live at 3599 Academy Road. Just kind of mirroring what everybody's saying. The needs are growing. Houses are coming in right and left. Full communities are coming in right and left. And the money really hasn't changed. Yeah, we've got little increases here and there, but the demand has exploded. We've had to build a new fire station that we're in the middle of on our own, and without the security of funding, it's a scary thing. I'm 40 and I'm almost lightheaded. It's turning me into an old man. So we need this contract. We need this ability to be able to make purchases that we need to make, to do things that we need to do to properly serve our communities, and that's what we're asking for. Don't want to thank you for your time. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Curtis Williams.
Good to see everybody. 1027 Jackson Heights, I'm a teacher. In 2001, the civil defense budget for Sumner County was almost $400,000. Until last year, the same budget was $450,000. In almost 24 years, the budget had went down and then just came back up to the same funding amount that it was over 20 years ago. I don't think anybody in this room could think that's not crazy. You can see how much your budget went up the last 20 years, and the fire departments not have increased, although their population has more than tripled in that time. Back in 2011 is when we started this whole process. We actually got somebody on the Health Emergency Services Committee where they could actually do a report every month. We had that going for 13 years. That just got canceled out last year. Once again, 15 years ago, we had somebody who would come out and help determine the way that a fire started, the origin of a fire. 15 years ago, we had somebody from the EMS that would do a first responder class for the fire departments every year so that they would be medically trained. A lot of these things that y'all used to do no longer happen. Last year, they decided that they wanted y'all to research how to fund the fire departments to the best way of your ability. There was 5 different ways of doing it. 3 of the 5 had liability. All of you said, we do not want liability for the county, for fire departments. We're not in the fire department business. The only other way of doing that is a fire tax. We also said we do not want to increase the taxes. So literally the last logical option that you have is to do a nonprofit donation, which is the same way as if you were to give $40,000 to Ashley's Place. That doesn't mean you have liability for Ashley's Place. Same way as a nonprofit donation to a fire department. They are still their own independent agency. You do not have any culpability or liability for it. That's also with the contract that actually says you are not liable, that you have no, y'all don't have anything in the game. So anything that happens, you're out of it. It's a 5-year contract, so there were some commissioners that said, well, hey, what's going to stop you from coming next year and asking for even more money? You have a 5-year contract, locks it in, it's done with. You don't have to see my face for 5 years. I know that would make a lot of you very happy. It would make me just as happy, I promise. If you have any other questions during the committee, of course, we have the answers. We've done this for a long time now. Please give us the ability to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Kathy Arlen, please.
Hi, I'm Kathy Arlen from 231 Chipaway Drive in Gallatin. Little change of pace, talking about animal control. So I just want to thank everybody again for hearing from the public on this topic. The last few months have seen what appears to be a good faith effort on the part of the Sheriff's Department to get more animals adopted. We've seen good posts on Facebook highlighting available animals, and we truly believe that the Sheriff's Department is trying to best align their operations with the recommendations of Keep Shelter USA. However, as we have outlined here many times, there are a multitude of factors that need continuous improvement to help the residents of Sumner County, not only with stray animals, but with help keeping their own animals, vaccines and spay and neuter services for low-income families, humane education. And of course, we still have the issue with inmate labor, which imposes unnecessary risks of liability to the county, as well as impeding access to the shelter itself by the public. Many of us in this county, including myself, continue to be in favor of a new model for animal care and control. These models would include a standalone department reporting to the county mayor, such as is used in Montgomery County, Tennessee, or a public-private partnerships contracted by the county, such as is used in the city of Chattanooga. I spoke to David Caskey, the director of animal control in Montgomery County. They use the department model. They operate with a $1.2 million annual budget, which has 25 employees, including animal control officers. They're also building a $17 million, 22,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility in Clarksville. Mr. Caskey would be happy to meet with this body at a future date and answer questions about animal care and control in Montgomery County. Please note that as of 2023, Sumner County is the 8th largest county in Tennessee by population. Montgomery County is the 7th largest county by population, so very close. One of my concerns is making sure the plan and structure is in place for any turnover to a different model. And this is where we feel an ad hoc committee could make a contribution potentially. I fully support a new model of sheltering that can take Sumner County into the future with a strong and effective animal care focused leadership that lets law enforcement be law enforcement and animal care be animal care.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I have Ian Durham?
Ian Durham, 320 Featherstone Drive in Gallatin. I'm here to speak on Ponce Fire Department. I'm not going to reiterate a lot of the things that they've already said before me, but I do want to reiterate how stagnant the funding in this county has been versus how much the cost of all of our equipment. increase in that time frame, even just for the past 5 years. Going through COVID, everything has tripled and quadrupled in price. Our funding has stayed the same. We don't have the ability to make these capital purchases, get the funding for capital purchases because of the stagnant funding. We've got to do something. We have departments around here that have trucks that are 20, 25, 30, 35 years old that are one catastrophic failure away from never being in service ever again. So we've got to do something. We've got to increase this funding. We need to push this contract through legislative so we can at least get the ball rolling and see where we can go from there. I appreciate your time. Thank you. Thanks.
Bethany Van Meter, please.
How are you? I'm great. Good. I'm Bethany Van Meter, 1753 Highway 25, and I'd love to talk about my experience with animal control. Just a little bit about me. As soon as I got my driver's license, I started in my hometown volunteering at the county. That was an escape for me. It was just some things in my life that was kind of my therapy to love on animals. Ever since then, I have fallen in love with them. My husband and I have rescued animals for over 20 years. And obviously, since we've had kids, they've joined in on the fun as well. Also, a big part of our lives is volunteering at the National Rescue Mission. That's often in lieu of going to jail. And led worship there, done food services there for many, many years. I think back in August, my family and I decided we were just really going to pour into Sumner County Animal Control. And it has been nothing short of one of the greatest blessings. I will share with you that we go in wherever we'd like to go. We get to not only love on the animals, we get to love on the trustees as well. And I think it's probably one of the most beautiful experiences to watch my children love on the humans and love on the animals. And what a cool way to allow the public to have a really awesome public relationship with law enforcement. And I have worked with many, many, many rescues over my life. And I can honestly say, and I'm very proud of it, I've never seen people love animals more, love humans more, and they brought in children and they'll read, their kids will read to the animals. Very fond of that. I'm an author about our dog. I share our dog all over the country, honestly. And so it's really special that I get to see the women that are there. It brings out a softness in them. It brings out responsibility that they haven't had to address at some point. I see how quickly they are to talk to them and say there's something, this cat needs this dog needs that. They're taking responsibility. And it's just a really, really beautiful thing to watch. And I don't know that I could say that about a lot of rescues that I've worked with. Doesn't mean they're all like that, but this has been, when it was brought to my attention, I was kind of startled because we're there weekly. We love on the animals. We take them out. My kids are often with the cats. But I just wanted to share with you all a very beautiful experience that I've had weekly for months. And we've worked together with things in the past just because of our dog. But just a very, very beautiful thing. Honestly, I hope that a lot of counties adopt that policy to, they've talked about having high school students help with marketing. And just that's how community works, We help animals help us. We help, law enforcement helps us. And it's just a really cool way to have this, the way community works. We all help each other. So I just wanted to share my really, really only positive experience that I've had with Sumner County Animal Control, and that I hope that it is modeled after in other places throughout the country. So. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we have, so sorry, I can't read it. Charlotte Almond. Is that right, Almond? Sorry, I didn't think of it. That's that, I'm sorry. Couldn't read your writing.
What happened?
Well, I didn't have my glasses on either.
Okay. I'm trying to remember, I live at 143 Ruin Circle, and I'm trying to see 37075. Just very quickly, on the Animal Control Ad Hoc Committee, I think that the best thing to do would be to really come up with the cost associated with outsourcing it, because when it comes down to the budget, the sheriff already said he's going to submit a budget with and without animal control, and so there needs to be something compared to if you guys are going to approve something to outsource it. For the volunteer fire department, I just have to say we are so blessed to have so many people come here to beg for money, for equipment, to keep them safe while they help us in the county. That doesn't happen everywhere. We are so lucky to have that. This county only determines, or this committee only determines that there's a need and not the specifics. You guys have already determined that there is a need, so I encourage you to make that decision again and then move it to the rec committee this time. The range of choices that the county commission had is to do absolutely nothing, fund nothing, ignore that there's a need, and then 100% full-time fire and rescue services staff throughout the county. The 100% full-time is going to be very expensive with the geographical distance that we have in our county, and doing nothing is also really not an option, also because of the distances between the cities. If I get in a car accident, which can happen right outside of Hendersonville, I would really like to have some quick services. The volunteer fire departments offer a solution that's in the middle of this all-or-nothing approach, and they just need to be able to pay for their own insurance. They just need to be able to pay for equipment. You guys have been paying for the equipment, so you do it after the fact, and they have to come in and beg every year. And I mean, logically, it just makes sense that they're not able to secure funding. Maybe they could actually pay for some of their own stuff if there were these other options in place. They offer the services that fill in the gaps for the emergency management services and the EMS, like ambulance services. I do understand the concern about city versus county, and so I would recommend considering some kind of funding to not offer training, but to compensate for training, and then that can be used for even the city fire departments, which isn't going to add much cost for them if they're already hosting a training for their own city, so then it can help minimize some of their costs internally for that. And then, as far as the liability of the county, the Government Tort Liability Act would protect against, I mean, I would encourage you guys to even try to find a case where any county has been held liable in a situation. I just feel like that is a scapegoat answer, and the only thing that you might need to worry about is workers' compensation, so just make sure anything that contract would say that there's no employment here, so then there's no workers' compensation, and they also have their own insurance. That's what part of it's being covered. So before you say, oh well, it's just going to create a liability for us, why don't we ask for an AG opinion then from our legislative director? I mean, I do not believe that that's true, because fire and police everywhere, they have higher levels of protection from this kind of risk because it's such a dangerous career and activity, but people still need to be saved, and so the law recognizes that it's better to have people help than to be afraid that they'll be liable. Yeah, I hope they don't pass it.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I have Donna? State your name.
Hi, I'm Donna DeSoto. I live at 101 Chambliss Court in Hendersonville. I'm really impressed by all of you in this room because I hear a common theme. I hear truth, data, facts, and love. And truth/data, facts, and love equals healing. Sometimes what happens with the community, out of our passion and love, we can become frustrated because the wheels turn really slow in government. But what I really want to say also, because my heart and my passion is with the animals and this whole animal control ad hoc committee, which I want to say I'm so incredibly blessed to have been a part of. Because if I can have a hand in making things better, then I feel like I've had a purpose and I've done something good. And the something good is out of love of this community, and that we have to aim for great. We really do. We have to aim for great. And what I'm going to propose here too is that I'm going to say, Kathy, I want to say truthfully, she has been an exceptional resource. You know, we came all together to do certain things to create best practices. My only regret is I wish I had known certain things sooner, because then you can catch things sooner and you have reachable moments. But the end of this particular line are animals, because if it's not done right, again, the end point is sadly death. And families want to adopt. It should be a very beautiful, welcoming experience. And sometimes we get caught in our little bubbles, and we don't get outside to see what is everybody else doing, what are the best practices. And what I'm really thrilled about is I've engaged with some incredible people in this journey of digging for information, because I will not come to you without evidence and data and facts to say, here's a problem, and we have to have a solution. I want to give a shout out, because I've talked to people who are doing best practices, and they've been doing it for well over a decade. A shout out actually to Andrea Johnson. She's a director over at Williamson County. If you want to see what exceptional looks like, take a visit and go there. And the welcomingness of them and sitting with me for gathering information to try to implement best practices is quite, they're beautiful people. People who love animals are such beautiful people because they give and they share and they have a love of animals. Not to say that we don't, we just have to make sure that the models are right and that the right people that are educated, there's a skill set to this, that are doing it and doing it right. And looking at the funding of other places, we're woefully underfunded. That seems to be a pervasive theme as well. But when I went there, it was just amazingly beautiful. And they advertised what their promise is, which is a brand, and the Sumner County is a brand. And people get welcomed here by a brand. And when you look at other places too, you see what they're doing, and they are implementing best practices. I found out that in Williamson County, well over a decade, the sheriff himself stopped the use of inmates because of contraband. There are a lot of other negatives too, and it's, again, a deterrent to best practices. Anything that's a barrier to best practice has to be lifted. Murray and Cheatham, all the same. They ended that practice a long time ago. They are standalone departments in accordance to state law. They have an animal control director / animal shelter person who has their team underneath them, and they report to the county commissioners and the mayor. And they have a very close relationship with them and the community. It is truly amazing the investment that they have, because, again, if you have animals on the street, this is a public health and safety that's been really on the radar for so long. And the fact that this governing body has listened to a long-standing animal rights people that have been saying, hey, we must do better. There's things that have to get done. I commend you all, because we're moving this needle to start looking into third-party and the standalone departments that you're going to see in adjoining counties. And they, like Michael Gregory, another shout-out to him too, they are willing to come here to assist and help us. And that's what we should do too, because again, adjoining communities, and that's what makes things really beautiful, are here to help. We are here to help. We want this to be the best county and a beacon for others to follow. And we have to get to that state. Thank you so much.
Carrie Zimba, please. Or Kara Zimba.
Kara Zimba, I live at 6324 Martin West Drive.
currently living in Millington, Southwest Memphis, but I have grown up in Sumner County my whole life. A little bit about me. November 6, 2021 was the last day that I set foot in Sumner County Jail as an inmate. A couple weeks later, I was told by the judge that he didn't know why I wanted to go to rehab because it wasn't like I'd ever stayed sober. And then a couple weeks later, I got to go to Sumner County Animal Control and work there for five or 6 months. And that completely changed my whole outlook on life. I learned compassion, I learned responsibility, I learned dedication, and I took everything serious after that. At first, I just wanted to pass the time away, but being there and being treated like a human being, because behind those walls in that jail, I wasn't. I was treated like a number. I was treated like a last name. That's all they knew me by. When I went into Sumner County Animal Control, they called me by my first name. They got to know me. They spoke truth into me. They treated me like a person. And, you know, when I moved away, they kept in contact with me. I left Sumner County as soon as I got out of jail because I wanted to change my life and better my life. I started working at a restaurant. I worked there for about a year. I worked my way up to management. I never missed a single day. I never called out because with the animal control, we didn't miss any days. We got up early in the morning and we stayed till the late afternoon. They taught me how to be responsible. I now work at an animal hospital in Bartlett, and I think that animal control, they paved that way for me. You know, my kids are here with me today. I went 5 years without seeing my kids. 5 years. Before that, it was 5 more years. I never had stability. Every time I come up here to see my kids, they go Sumner County Animal Control, and I let them know the people that helped their mama get better. Thank you.
Thank you. That is amazing that I could do that. So I appreciate that. Okay, with that, if that's all, I'm gonna close public comment, and we'll move on to the next. Thank you. Move on to, yes.
I apologize for having to leave, but I have another meeting. God bless you all, and thank you very much.
Just for the chairman, I want to say a couple quick things. Just, you know, very thankful to be a part of this committee. Very thankful to serve with all these folks here and you know, with everybody out here. It was said property taxes, and I just want to make a quick note. I know that there's probably a lot of frustration on that, and just continue to talk and stuff like that, bring it up because we all voted to keep it neutral. I think unanimously, pretty much, and my property taxes went up, so I don't understand all that. So it's not for this committee. I just want you to know that.
Mine went down.
But Tim's went down. So, most of ours went up. So I just want you to know I don't understand how that happened. And I know that's been a question asked, and I know it's not for this committee, but it is when we're talking about, you know, the possibility of taxes. I just want to bring that up and bring it to the point. It still needs to continue that conversation because I don't want anybody's going up. Okay, so then, the other thing I was going to say is, that's all I had. That's all I had. A report of county mayor.
No report, Mr. Chairman.
Report of the sheriff, and, Sheriff Craddock can't be here, but Captain McCoy is here. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I do have a report from the Sheriff's Office. Our total deposits for the month of February 2025, $44,388.59. Our total calls for service, and there's a breakdown in your packet of those calls, 5,108 for that same month. The rest for the month of February, just very shy, 250. Those breakdowns are also in your packet. We received about 1,000 criminal warrants, about 700, looks like almost 800 civil warrants during that time. Our vacancies, for certified positions are only 2, so we're doing well with our recruiting and getting folks, to come to work for the sheriff's office. We have, some vacancies in the part-time level, part-time fields, and we have, shows here on one vacancy, but I saw that, application was satisfied today on an email, so I think this information, that last clerical person has probably been filled. And we have 24 vacancies within our corrections division. I'd like to move to the, any questions about that, John?
Anybody have any questions?
I've got one.
Questions?
In previous reports, the sheriff's department was running about 50 positions at any given month, vacant. Was that mostly in correctional, or was that dispersed between the two? Looks like you've caught up some.
It would have been both. The certified side of the house were the certified officers, and then the corrections folks with a sprinkling of clerical folks in there as well. We did just onboard 13 people that are certified, so those numbers have come down pretty drastically just in since our test that we had in January, the civil service test that we conducted.
Good to hear. All right.
Yes.
Thanks. Any other questions?
He's got more to go, right?
Right.
Okay.
I believe you have a little.
I have the animal services report, well, that was what you want to hear?
Yeah.
Okay. Looks like our total, intakes for cats, for the month of February were 25. Total intake for dogs was 49. Of those animals, outtakes there were 26 cats went out, 58 dogs and 1 goat. We adopted 52 animals in that month. We rescued 4. That means transferred that life to a rescue that would be better suited for finding a forever home. And we had 15 returns to owners. So we totally saved 71 animals in a short month of February.
Yes.
What do you run on percentage or numbers of spay, neuter, and vaccinations?
So we are moving, I don't have the exact percentage. James, do you by chance know what we've got in-house that's spayed and neutered?
It would only be a guess, but I think we'll run around 80 to 85%, and that's only because we're turning out and bringing in. We can't hit 100% because we're constantly bringing in.
And our partners at Spay and Neuter have really stepped up. We're really, we're moving a lot of animals through their clinic.
So the report last month was 100% spay, neuter, and vaccination on outgoing.
We are 100% vaxxed for sure.
Okay, on the outgoing, and on the spay, neuter on outgoing, can you speak to just the outgoing and disregard the incoming?
100%.
Yeah.
So we're still 100%.
We've not collected a fee for adoption, which law says that we would have to collect at least $25 for an animal that was not surgically sterilized.
Okay, so we're still 100% 2 months?
We're 100%. Not everything in house is spay or neuter, but we're working towards that goal.
Can we make that a point just for?
Is that
that's the highlights that we like to hear on this.
Well, we don't want to keep it.
This is like here, so.
Because it's not, but we're moving animals through this spay and neuter alliance, and they've really, our partnership is strong again.
Nice. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question for that? We might have, would you mind sticking around, because there might be a question that comes up in ad hoc,
Sure.
if we can maybe look or suspend the rules when we need to, if we need to, if it even comes up. Thank you, sir. Okay, report of the EMA.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. For the sake of the community, all these firefighters, no report unless you've got the questions, and I'll answer any questions you have.
Just while he's up here, thank you, sir, so much, but do y'all have any questions about that Homeland Security grant? No.
It's in new business.
I just want to make sure that you didn't have any questions while you're up there.
Sure.
Good. Okay, good, thank you. Okay, report of EMS.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, standard report, I'll be brief, got a lot going on here. The highlight on financials had over $1 million in revenue this month. Everything else is pretty much standard across the board.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question. What is your billing, your ARs and your billing, like for when you send out for?
The AR report should be in your packet, ma'am.
Do you know the number?
I do not have it off the top of my head for 83 days.
83 days?
Is that everything else? Anybody else got a question? Thanks so much. Okay, report of ECC.
The
The calls were handed out to you if you have any questions. It's pretty self-explanatory. Good deal.
Okay, and then we're moving on to, because we just made that little altered, agenda, thank you. I just want to make sure that everybody knows, follow along. We're going to move the, Sumner County, Robertson County aid agreement, up to there, and I'll entertain a motion, discussion. Motion. Okay, second, motion, second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Anybody want to get the key?
Is this just this annual renewal or
I think
two-year renewal?
it's 2 year renewal.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. You guys, without objection, I'm just going to suspend the rules and let Commissioner Wayne, because it's a lot of his district, if that's okay, so let him speak. Yes, sir.
Yep. So I appreciate you guys taking time to discuss this. So if you recall back, it was in 2023, we renewed our mutual aid agreement with Robertson County Medical Highway. So within that agreement, we went ahead and made some adjustments. One was a renewal, not a renewal period, but we wanted to make sure and do a checkpoint to make sure that the agreement's operating as it should. So it was just a health check, if you will. It's at the 2-year mark. We're now at that 2-year mark. That's one reason why I asked Mr. Chairman that we put on the agenda for you guys to look at. This is something that's really near and dear to my heart. It's one thing that coming in 2022 was top of mind for me. It was just that EMS service and coverage for the White House area. So I'm coming into the office. I myself have witnessed multiple occasions where there was exceeded response times for ambulances exceeding 20 minutes. When I emailed the chairman, there's another example that was posted out on social media. With 2 examples of folks expressing concern about extended call times for the area, for White House specifically in Sumner County, which is around the 18-minute mark on one of those, and it sounded like the person didn't make it. So that's a great concern. And then since sending that email, I had some conversations in White House Hospital. Actually had 2 instances in September that were exceeding 20 minutes as well. So, guys, I'm just saying, it appears that we have an issue. The things we put in place, I think, are very workable and doable between the counties, but we've got to do the things that we can do to make sure that the checks, that these are operating as intended. When it comes to public safety, I don't think anybody wants to take it lightly. So I just ask this committee that as we review this, that we please look at this and let's do the right thing to get these response times within the Ohio average. I believe that time is 8 minutes would be the average. So you can see how far out of bounds we are. It's becoming more and more prevalent as the population is growing. So White House is a big growing community. We've got one ambulance in Robertson County that services that, and that's out of the area. There's all sorts of issues. So we experience those delayed response times because we're getting the next ambulance out of Springfield and Greenbrier. So I don't believe there's any other area in Sumner County that's experiencing this type of response time or issues response time. Or Chief Boss, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, whatever you're chiming in on that. So I just, again, I ask that let's look at this. This is something we need to solve for because we've got folks who are safety issues. So with that, I think it's time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and just so you know, I requested he come and speak on it because he had the request, and I want to make sure that I got all the information he needs. Thank you so much.
Motion to approve.
Okay, would this be, just quickly asking, this goes on to legislative if we approve this, correct?
I believe.
I got a question.
Yes.
So is this a checkpoint or is this a re-up for the next year?
It's a re-up.
I believe it's re-up.
I think don't we have to do it every 2 years?
Every 2 years?
The next to last bit resolved, again, Mr. Chairman, says the resolution shall be reviewed every 2 years at a minimum to ensure appropriate emergency medical response is being provided. I think the concern is, and by no means am I trying to speak for Commissioner Wynn, but when I first came into office, we met in White House with the mayor was there, Portland was there, obviously White House was there. trying to get a resolution of this area, because we knew it was gonna be a problem. Trying to be like opposite of government work, being proactive, but.
You got part of that area, you don't you, over your area?
No, I'm on the other side, again.
I thought you had a little bit of that part.
No, like, we like Portland, but I'm on the other side. But we just, we saw this was gonna be a problem. And we were trying to get ahead of it, but it seems that the growth, is probably outrunning us, which that probably comes as no surprise. But regardless of the fact, the concerns is obviously where's the medics coming from? If you have more than one incident in that area, where's it coming from? As bad as I hate to say this, my suggestion would be probably this needs to go back and be reviewed by the agencies that reviewed it at the time of its inception 2 years ago. I know that's going to almost make a ad hoc committee out of this committee, and then that committee will have to come back with recommendations to this committee of what to do with it.
Okay, any other?
I'm not putting that in a motion, I'm just talking, I guess, to be like a better word.
I would like to second Commissioner Harris's motion to move it forward for now, and then if those agencies want to relook at that in the meantime and bring up something better, would that be something that would be okay? We just go ahead and pass this tonight so it doesn't lapse, because we're at the minimum 2-year mark. And then if somebody wants to look at it and bring something better with amendments later, then they can.
That was my only question, because I didn't ask it, before. I want to make sure, so we send it to the legislative, not straight to the commission, correct?
Well, yes, you would send it to legislative, but they're going to be leaning on this committee as to what changes need to be made to it. It's the problem.
Sure.
I can draft it however you want, as long as it stays within the legal bounds, but I don't know what expectations this committee's going to have, or second guesses, as Commissioner Wynn brought up, as far as the time lags and stuff, so.
I mean, I feel like it needs to continue moving. I don't want to have time lapse, but I'm just curious about that.
I think that's his point, my point. We need to go ahead and approve it and let it go, and then study it further later.
And Mr. Chairman, we need desperately to look at adding another unit in that area up there. That community up there is growing such that we're gonna have to do something other than relying on Robertson County to come in and do our, work for us. So.
Just to be clear, if this goes to legislative from here, it's as it was before, so somebody will need to figure out what changes need to be made between the two before it goes to commission.
Like two separate things.
You can do that, I just know that input from here is gonna be valuable.
Yeah.
Well, that's always the option, but I would keep it on yours as well.
Okay, then there's a motion on the table in a second, to move it forward, and I just want to ask, how would y'all feel about, leaving the discussion for anything else on old business, but just moving this forward? Is that okay? Is that acceptable to the motion maker?
Yeah, that's fine. As long as we can discuss it next month and start getting something rolling on it.
Okay, because I don't want it to fall through the cracks. So, can we make sure that gets put on just to discuss it, and we'll move on to legislative? Is that okay with the second maker?
Let's discuss, the possible need for changes in the resolution next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Well, I'm trying to track this conversation. So we're sending it to legislative, the legislative will ask you to make the changes. So legislative is gonna make the changes too?
No.
Nobody's gonna make changes to it?
No, I'll just clarify, the motion second is just to move this forward as is. And then we need to review and see what's going on, but if we review and see what's going on, there's not time between that and then, now and then, for there to be, if we make any changes or no changes, there's no way to continue, there'll be a lapse.
Well, the contract won't expire. The service will continue while you discuss it, if you want to make changes. So it would be my suggestion that you review the contract, and if you want to make changes, you send a revised contract to legislature for their review.
I think my intention was to approve this contract and for us to look at the possibility of adding another unit in the White House area. That's my intention, that's how I understood it. And is that not how?
That's how I understood it. We'll keep this contract in place.
That if there's no amendments when legislative deals with it, it goes as is.
And just to be clear, it does say that it shall, that review, just like Commissioner Rogers said, review every 2 years at a minimum to ensure appropriate emergency medical response is being provided. So I just don't want there to be some kind of a legal reason, and that's why it needs to go legislative for that reason.
We still have to reiterate, I mean, we can't just stop just because.
No.
So, we've already had a motion and a second, we've already voted on it, all in favor said aye, so I mean, nobody was opposed, right? So we'll just go ahead and do that, we'll keep it our own business. Okay, so,
Well,
on the,
to be clear, the old business, to keep it on there, is gonna change a little bit.
yes,
Right.
absolutely, it'll be just about the discussion of that emergency services for that and the need for that area. Okay.
So we're back under old business A.
Yes, sir. We're actually under old business A on discussion, recreate, animal control ad hoc. And on this one, I got some names. I did get some names for that, and I've written them down. And if I missed anyone by chance, because we got a bunch of emails, and sometimes it's hard to make sure that there's nobody missed, because I did searches and looked, and, we get a bunch of emails about things, and we should. That's exactly what should happen. But if I miss somebody, just speak up, let me know. It's not on purpose, please. So, if we get to that point of reading the names. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion just to discuss animal control in general. That's what I just meant, just give a little leeway because the captain's here, and I thought just in case we have any questions for him or about other options or what needs to happen. So go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I need to vote on.
I entertain a motion.
Motion to discuss.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, we'll go ahead.
So, Mr. Chairman, I've discussed this with Sheriff Craddock. I've discussed this with members of the ad hoc committee. We're faced with, I just want to rip the Band-Aid right off of this. We're faced with three choices here to keep it under the Sheriff's Department, which Sheriff Craddock has stated he doesn't care one way or the other. He'll keep it or he'll let it go. And Captain McCoy can speak for the sheriff. I'm sure he's up to speed on his current desires for that. But the other two options were to make a department under our county government, reporting to the mayor, with some sort of oversight with the commission, or bid it out to a private entity. Some of the people on the ad hoc committee have done great work with getting bid specs to where we could send it out for bid. I've spoken with Michael Guthrie with Rutherford County, and seen how they do it, how several counties do it in our state, where they have animal control officers that are not an entity of the Sheriff's Department. They're sworn in by the courts to do citations and things separate from the Sheriff's Department. They use them on a very limited basis to for criminal offenses, things that have to be handled with that, which are not very often. But the thinking was that trying to save in salaries for these positions, not have paid law enforcement that could be used in other areas to do, solve crimes and traffic and stuff like that. With all that being said, we've come a long way. A lot of people criticize the animal control ad hoc, but our numbers being reported by the Sheriff's Department are different than they were before. We've all learned best practices we didn't know what we didn't know. Nobody did. And they reached out, we reached out. Everybody has learned in this experience. So I'm grateful that we did the ad hoc committee, because now we're getting better numbers. They're going to help with spay and neuters, not have to pick up offspring of the same animals that we picked up, last year and things like that. So we've improved regardless of the direction we go. Now we're at the point where we have to decide what we want the future to look like. and I was open to any of the three options, but rather than go down the ad hoc road yet, I think we need to make a decision on which way we go, and then the ad hoc committee would be some sort of, if we do it, would be some kind of a transition committee once we decide the direction to go. So I'm okay holding off on the ad hoc committee until we decide. I mean, I don't know what the will of this committee is, but that's where I'm at with it.
I'm a little bit different with what he says. I was on the ad hoc committee, and I believe that with the options that you have, the three that you may have a fourth, it would be important to look at the benefits of all of it and the risk and the benefits, the threat of it, a lot of different aspects of each option. And I think the committee together could work. I mean, you have a year, and you have the ability to work through each option and give the best option. If you just pick one out of the pair, you may not get the best benefit out of maybe something the others have. So I think having an ad hoc committee to review best practices of the three options, kind of give an overview of all of it and then present it. I think that would give everyone a better understanding of what they would be looking at. Because I think that I like the fact that we had citizens and we had commissioners on it and people worked together, and a lot of the citizens are very smart and have a lot of good experience, and I think they bring a lot to the table. So I feel like that I would prefer that it be created to do specifically to look at options, the best options.
Thank you so much. Anybody else want to get in before?
I've seen what animal control was before the sheriff's office took it over. Now, I heard Sheriff Weatherford made the statement before, if the county takes it back, don't ask the sheriff's office to take it again. I hear people say, well, the sheriff's office can still write a citation. Well, whenever someone else besides a law enforcement entity takes over animal control, we don't write summons, we don't enforce city ordinances. The only thing we enforce is state law. Am I correct, sir? Are you going to have a law enforcement officer there to enforce your state law? Are you going to have anyone? Y'all don't know the can of worms you're opening up. And I see people smiling and laughing. But whenever you come from a city, folks, Sumner County has some rural areas. I've told y'all before, head north, believe it or not, there's places up there where you can go whenever the sun doesn't shine and you don't see anything but moonlight. There ain't a street light or anything else. Thank you, Lord. I'm backyard. Because I'm walking across the road and see it. But if you have an animal cruelty case and you have 12 horses, who's going to take care of it? Everybody talks about dogs and cats. Folks, we are a rural county. We have goats, pigs, horses. It's not just dogs and cats. I hear people talk about inmate labor. It is not labor, ladies and gentlemen. These inmates, they volunteer for it. They're not made to work. They volunteer to go out there. It's not like they're forced labor. Good Lord, folks. You do not understand or realize the can of worms that y'all are asking for. But if you want it, it's gonna be yours. Don't ask the sheriff's office, because they will help transition. But we're not going to lose, I say we, the sheriff's office should not lose the funding and still have to do the same job they're doing now. I can remember the old animal control when there was an animal cruelty case, sheriff's office had to take it over. Cap McCoy, you were there. You know, you remember those days. You know, it took up detectives' time, search warrants. You don't understand animal control officers out there. They have an animal cruelty case, they handle it from start to finish. They write their own search warrants. They don't bother the detectives. They take care of it themselves. We're getting a huge asset by them doing that. And, you know, there again, 12 inches of snow on the ground. Do you think your volunteers are going to drive through 12 inches of snow to take care of the animal? Folks, I don't care if there's 10 foot of snow. You'll have a sheriff's deputy taking care of those animals because that's their job. Thank you.
Thank you. So, I just want to say a couple of things. Several counties, are doing it with outside the sheriff's department. They use the sheriff's department where it's required by state law, but they have employees that are sworn in by the courts that can do the typical citations and some of the lesser than criminal offenses. This is not a stretch to think we can't do this. It's done all over the state, successfully all over the state. I've looked into some of the budgets. Some of the budgets may be a little bit more. There have to be looks at ways to fund it. But it's not a matter of it can't be done or it's going to be more difficult to be done with the sheriff's department. This would alleviate sheriff's employees, deputies, and we're paying for salaried people that work for their department to go be in animal control offices with computers that are different computers that have special software on it for sheriff's department work that they have to use because they're those employees versus just a regular animal control computer like you may have at home. You know, it's run like sheriff deputies run things. There may be efficiencies there to save money to do it outside of their committee. I'm for either one. Sheriff Craddock has told me he's for either one. I want this community. I'd like to hear from Captain McCoy. He may have had directives of what to say tonight if certain things come up. He's taking care of animal control right now. I'm open to all of it, and I don't want to paint anybody in a bad light. Like I said, we're happy for the positives we've gained through this. I think everybody's celebrating that we're better than where we were a year and a half ago when we started this in October of 23. And it's not to say that somebody was doing anything bad before. It was we didn't know what we didn't know until we got experts invited and mutually asked for by the Sheriff's Department and by the ad hoc committee. They both reached out to the same third party, and everybody got educated on what we didn't know. And now we're making good headway towards better care for animals. I'm open to looking at it all. I'm not opposed to Commissioner Janung's suggestion to have the ad hoc look at this along the way, but my thinking in why to present these three options right here was because budget season is right around the corner. We're faced with the inability to make any change if the sheriff brings a budget and it's voted on for keeping the ad hoc committee. Yeah, we could stop it somewhere in the middle of the year and change it or something, but it just seems like it'd be more difficult to do that at that time. But that's why I wanted to just go ahead and say what our choices were tonight, and if there's any movement that we can do here to make a decision, maybe we start heading that direction with research or something like that. But I'm tired of just having the ad hoc committee where we talk about it and nothing ever happens. But if you want to slow it down and research all that and relook at it in a few months, it's probably going to take 2 or 3 months to do it, and we're going to be right there in the budget. It's going to be kind of messy. So I'm open to hear anybody's suggestions.
Good question.
So I guess it's a good point to follow up on. So my question is, and has been, since we've had this ad hoc committee almost a year and a half ago, is what's the end goal? What's the end goal and the intent? I mean, are we going to pick and choose that we want the nonprofit or whatever, if we go that route, to take care of the animals? We want the sheriff's office to do the enforcement. We want the county to pay for the building. We don't have any of that. We don't have any scope. We come in here month after month, we talk for 2 or 3 hours, and we still don't have any scope of what we had the month before. We're doing good, our spay numbers are better, but the sheriff's office could still do better, but we don't know how we can get them to do better, and we really want to take it over, but we don't know how we're going to take it over. We need a scope. We need to know somewhere where we're going and how we're going to get there. We hear of all these improvements, but really, where are we going? I mean, if we form an ad hoc committee, that's another committee that's coming out of this division, and we already probably are looking for one for Robertson County, Sumner County, EMS aid. I'm really afraid that if we keep kicking this can down the road and we get into budget season, then we're going to be stuck for another year without doing anything, but we're going to be here every month for another year talking about how bad it is and what needs to be done, but nobody knows how to do anything. So, my question is anybody talk to the DA's office? Do we know their stance on prosecuting, storing, and keeping of animals? Do we know if the DA's stance on swearing in of officers, deputizing of officers, does that need to come from the sheriff's department, or does that need to come from the court? What's the county's stance for that? Next thing is where are they going to be housed? Who's going to take care of the animals? Who's expected to feed the animals? Where does that money come from if it's the nonprofit or another route of where we want to go? If we bid it out, who's going to keep up the building? Who's going to keep up? That's general operations. Now we're off meddling in their committee. Now we're off telling the constitutional officer how he's going to run his department, which is the sheriff's office. We need to get it together, because we look like a bunch of ding dogs sitting up here trying to figure out month after month of what we're going to do. We still don't know what we're going to do, and we're going on almost 2 years.
Well, thank you for that. And I got to say, I think a lot of times whenever that we do discuss this stuff, it's tough, and that's why I wanted to open this up, because I appreciate the chance, because I think a lot of people want the same thing. They want whatever's right to be done, including the sheriff. I spoke with him and had a great conversation with him today, and he said that, he's fine with either way, and he's submitting a couple budgets, and I just think that that's when we need to discuss it more about what's the right thing. I want to say one more thing. A good friend of mine works for the sheriff's department. I won't say his name, but he's got a dog that was taken out there, and it is one of the most wonderful things. There's a few dogs here in Sumner County that are brought from that shelter from the animal control into the schools, are trained, and they're just absolutely amazing. So I can't speak high enough. There's not a way to speak any higher about it. The way I feel, it's just amazing what I've seen firsthand on what these dogs have done. So that's a really cool, big testament of just using our resources wisely. Go ahead.
So we've got bid specs that we can put out if that's the will of the body. They were supplied by Dr. Pisano, the people that the sheriff's department reached out to, that the animal control ad hoc reached out to. The sheriff has said they would basically just let that building go, and they would take over that building. Am I right? If that's the way it goes, that the building that's being, the building. That's fine.
We can have.
No, I do want to ask his opinion and say, we've got, Rutherford County, Animal Control Director has said that he'll come down here and present to us how we could do it, so all these questions are answered. He'll give a presentation on how they do it there. I think the same goes for Montgomery County's, Animal Control Director has offered to come down here and present a way that we could transition to that type of a model, just to answer all these questions. The ad hoc committee has tried exploring all of this stuff, but it's been very hard without having any kind of oversight or anything because of the constitutionally elected sheriff's office position. It's very hard to get information from that. So we're exploring this to try to make it efficient and do the most with it. But we do have options to vote on or to hear more from if this body wants to hear more from. That's why I'm asking for people just to come to speak here if that's the will of this committee.
And what Commissioner Jones said is actually, the sheriff verified a lot of that. You know, he said there's even a bid that, well, we got some specs that we could have bid out if we wanted to and all that. He said he could provide any of that stuff for us if we needed it or we got it in that committee.
The thing is, this committee did not want to ask any of these questions. They were quick to dismiss it when it came up for a night of a presentation, and nobody wanted to talk about it. It was all meant to be done offline, individual commissioner to sheriff's department, and the citizens wanted questions asked for public knowledge, to gain knowledge about these things, and wanted immediate answers. So that's why the ad hoc committee was formed. Through that, they got to come see some transparency in the process, but there was a lot of frustration there too. So I still think it was a positive to go that route. It's just we're at a point now where we can make a decision, and I'm open to hearing options of this, of where we go here.
Well, I guess I'm gonna make a motion to defer to next month. But I would like to have a special call meeting so we get all these answers brought together, all of it in the plan and the scope, so we have somewhat of an idea of what we're working toward. Because, I mean, we're just kind of spinning wheels, and, well, this one didn't do what he was supposed to, or that one didn't do it, and then we got the cross fingers, and nobody's doing anything in the end. So, if we could do a special call meeting, that way everybody in the public knows about it, and then everybody can bring all their questions, and we can have all of our questions, and we come and we sit and we hash it all out, then that way when we come back in April or May, then we've got something to present as a committee and we can roll it on through, because that's what we choose to do.
Second.
Okay.
I'd like to add also that during that special call meeting, that those people from those other counties would come and do it.
That's what I'm saying, we'd have to build an agenda, the agenda will be posted, it just kind of backs up, regroups, gets it all together, and puts it in front of everybody.
Yeah, and okay, that's good. Good call.
I would like to motion to suspend the rules to hear from Captain McCoy to see if the sheriff has got some input on this discussion, because I haven't talked to him this week.
Yeah, all in favor of suspending the rules for him to speak? Aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
No. Okay, we'll do a hand vote, I guess, whatever. So, all in favor, say aye. 1, 2, 3. All opposed? 1, 2, 3.
We don't want to hear what the sheriff has to say about this.
I mean, he's asking them to come next month to discuss all this at a special call meeting. So, I mean,
I do know I spoke with Sheriff Craddock, and he says he's prepared to speak on this. So, I mean, if we want to silence him tonight, then we can vote, we just don't have to vote him in, but, I mean,
Mr. Chairman, it's not a fact of silencing him, it's, we're having that discussion at a special call meeting just for that subject, so we can devote enough time to it to make a decision.
Well, it didn't pass, so, I mean, there's not, everybody voted correct. We had a few people didn't vote, but, did you not vote, Mr. Hyde? And you didn't vote, did you, Mr. Mayor? You don't have a vote. You don't have a vote.
I don't have a vote.
You don't have a vote, so then just say we're back to the main. Okay, so we're back to the main either way. So
You want to set
sorry
a
for
date?
that. No worries. I do.
We're going to set a date.
Yeah.
Commissioner
I'll
Rogers.
entertain a motion on a date, if anybody's got one. Yeah, go ahead.
Can we just, you said special call, can we just do it in this time slot in the commission chambers? Do you want to do it outside of this to not interfere with other meetings?
I don't understand what the question is.
At the same time of the month, the same time as the meeting, just do it in the chambers because it's going to be a lot more people, or do you want to do it outside to where it's not conflicting with other meetings?
It's gonna be subject.
No, I'm sorry, I'm letting in on anybody, but what he's saying, just to clarify, he's saying, what if we do this same Health and Emergency Services Committee meeting, same time, just a different back channel, it's just in there.
I think he's
On the full agenda.
I think he's concerned about the full agenda. I understand what you're saying there.
Oh, I see. You mean the full agenda just being too long, is that what you're worried about?
We'll be here all night, we weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I see that. Then,
You're gonna need to make sure though that you can get, I would suggest that
It's
you
hard.
talk to the other people that are gonna come, see when they're available.
Yeah.
Give them 3 days,
yeah, so if everybody would, would you please email me, a day of the week that would maybe work?
How about I ask the people who would come to present, and you put out some dates that everybody else could, that'd be easier?
If you could get in touch with, because I think I was gonna, yeah, that'd be nice.
We don't have to be date specific on this vote, but I would like to ask, do we want to incorporate B into this vote as well, whoever the motion makes?
No, we don't, I'll take one thing.
All right.
No, I made the motion, Esquire, so I don't guess it did.
Oh, sorry.
That's what we can go to, I understand, so am I.
Keeping with the.
So, we have a motion to defer, I mean, we might as well, we haven't got a second. Did you second?
Commissioner Wright.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just deleted it. All in favor, say aye, we defer. Aye.
To a special meeting.
To a special meeting, yeah. Defer to a special call meeting.
Yes.
Aye. And, all opposed? Okay. Did everybody vote yes, and, was there any, just non-votes? Okay, got it. Okay, so, moving on to B, and the reason why I want to say about B is because I spoke to the sheriff about that. I really appreciate you being here, Captain Floyd, and just, I wanted to say that, you said there's a few things that we need to make sure that no matter what happens, okay.
Call a motion or motion to discuss?
I was just gonna tell what it was. Is that not appropriate?
You're going down the road though, to discussing it.
It's an action item.
I was gonna tell the reason why we need to do it, but yeah, I make a motion, we discuss.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so all I was gonna say is I spoke with Sheriff Craddock, and it just says Animal Services MOU, and it might be hard to see what it is on there, that's why I just give it to people that understand what it was. It's literally just so that they can continue to do the same thing they're doing, it's like, it's their contract agreement, and if we wanted to suspend the rules and vote for Captain McCoy to speak on it, I'm sure he would, but I'm sure if y'all don't want him to, if we do that, even want, it doesn't matter, if we need it, he's right here. But, we will need that in the interim, no matter what is decided on the animal, on the animal control. That's all I'm saying, that's all I want to make it point, it's a little separate thing.
Can we have a constitutional officer agree to a contract?
Yeah,
It is.
Yes.
This is just a memorandum of understanding, and he can enter into that.
He's given it to us, right?
Yes.
Is this not the same thing they're doing already, anyway?
It is, but it would there be a lapse in service if we didn't send it straight to the commission? That's what the sheriff said.
It would be a lot?
That's what he said, we need to send it straight to the commission.
Okay, motion to approve.
So this is just to continue doing what we're already doing.
And that's why I didn't want to wrap into that any further, that's why I said that wasn't.
Second, yeah.
Second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. And this goes straight to the commission to vote on this, okay?
We don't have to
want
do
wrap into
second
the
reading or anything like that.
Okay, so, the discussion on the volunteer fire department, entertain a motion.
So,
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, I'm just gonna jump in the queue if you don't mind, really quickly. On this one, I've not heard anybody say they were against it. But I think the one thing I wanted to make sure of saying is that we had it brought up a few times that it doesn't really feel like it's our purview. I think that it's something that we need to talk about, but we're not really discussing need as much as we are a little difference in a legality and a contract. So I feel like it should go on just straight to legislative is what seems like it should happen. I think it probably was what should happen back in September. And I just want to make that point. I don't.
Motion to approve.
Yeah. So
Second.
I want us to discuss, so, for anybody that's in the queue, because I know you're in the queue, and I know you're in the queue, I thought you were. Okay, so, yes, go ahead.
Actually, I was gonna make a motion to approve and send it to legislative. After we'd already done it once before, and it got sent back here, and it's.
Go to budget instead.
Okay, it went to budget.
Wrong direction.
You would have thought that if somebody had known it was going in the wrong direction, then we'd been guided in the right path. But, anywho, he's got a motion to approve, I second it, or he seconded it, I'm ready to vote.
And Tim's in the queue. I just want to make sure everybody speaks.
I got no issue taking it to the legislative because so it can be discussed further. My issues is this does look like it's awfully close to, as close as you can get to a fire tax as possible. I'm up for the argument that they need more money, but the fact of the matter, this is a 501c3 charitable contribution, and we're forcing the entire county to pay for it under contract. And so that's something I gotta think about. That's something I really need to look at. I heard a lot of volunteer firemen come up here and speak to this issue tonight. I didn't hear a single citizen come up here and speak about it. County is different than city. We would be forcing city people who already have fire services to pay for this. That's what a contract does. That takes it away from just a donation and makes it a repeating thing. That being said, I'm not saying they don't need more money. I just don't know that this is the proper way to go about it. We're putting something down that is going to repeat. So I do want to look at it further, and I'd be okay with it going to legislative to look at further.
I think Commissioner Arden first.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
The only concern, I had a couple concerns, but it's a 4 to 5 year contract. I think that's a little long. I think that because whenever you have a contract with a 501c, a company, or whatever, you want to give yourself some time to look at how that money is being allocated and how it's being utilized. Now, there are 501c, they can spend it on 100 toilets. I don't know. But my concern is a 5-year contract is a long time to be able to know where, as a citizen, where that money is going. So I would like to see the time frame, at least a compromise, maybe 2.5 years or 2 years, just a little bit shorter, so that they would have to come back and kind of talk about what all they've done and prove to the commission what they've done. Because it's like me giving you $1 million, and in 5 years you don't come back for 5 years to tell me what you spent your $1 million on, and I may say, well, that's not what we had expected. So perhaps if it was a shorter period of time, they could come back and say, here's what we've done, here's how we used your money, the citizens' money, and it's working great, and we could all say, yay, good, happy day. But I think 5-year contract is a long time. That's all I have to say.
Just kind of follow up on what Commissioner Janone said. Some of these agencies have already contacted me and said they're going to be putting the money back to buy apparatus and new trucks. Then it's going to take them 4 years, maybe, to even buy the new truck. So be considerate of that as you go through. So Commissioner earlier was making an argument that the money was used for citizens that's already paid taxes. That's true enough and fair enough, but we've done that for many years, with the contributions that we've given to the volunteer fire departments anyway. It still comes out the same lot of money, so it's still really taxpayer money that's being given to people. You know, and this is one thing that's, as many of you know, that's kind of close and dear to my heart, but a lot of times these guys and girls, women, that's on the volunteer fire department, sometimes they spend as much time in the city as they do in the county. You'll find them a lot of times crossing over boundaries. So, to make the political argument that it's county money being paid for city benefits, maybe that's plausible, but I would hope, and I'm going to say this because the last incident we had struck close to a family that we know, an extension of the family that actually lives in my district, who lost their fire, or lost their house to a fire because there was no mutual aid agreement between the volunteer fire department and this county. It's pretty sad when we let a piece of paper stand between the livelihood of a person and let some water be put on the fire. I would hope, absolutely hope, that we as commissioners don't come between somebody's livelihood that they know today and what they had 10 or 15 minutes ago. So as crazy as it may sound, as out of control as the growth is in the county and all these other things we've got going on in this county, I hope that we can at least find some common ground to get these guys the money they're asking for. Because if not, that's a pretty sad day in Sumner County this size. It is. It really is. 4 years, I mean, I can see the 5 year maybe a stretch, but a 4 year term on a contract or MOU, I don't even like using the word contract, but a MOU, maybe that's the way to go, but that's for another committee to decide. So I just, please, county commissioner to county commissioner, let's don't start the narrative and down the trail of it's a tax, an additional tax, because really and truly, all these years, we've been using the tax that the cities pay as well to fund these guys for what little that they do have. And let's be true about it, a lot of these guys are sitting at the fire hall when they could be sitting home with their family and making $0. If that's not community service and public service, then I don't know what is.
Let's call for the question.
So,
Can I interject real quick? If I remember correctly, the reason this thing got steered straight to budget was because it was going to be treated as a 501 donation, and that they were just going to roll it into however they were going to compute that. As far as the legislative side of this, it does need to go there. The terms can be hammered out there and everything else as well. But I have reviewed the contract. I've just been waiting on the form to discuss it because there are problems with it. But I just wanted that information out there. But shut up now.
Thank you for that. So we've had a motion second. Call the question. All in favor, say aye. What? It's got a closed comment, though, whenever that we go to.
To call the question?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, no or nay. The ayes have it. So we're moving on to the main motion.
I got a question.
We gotta end it, on the rules. So the main question is, to move, who made the motion? Was it you?
Thank you.
Just restate the motion.
It's been so long, that might have been me.
I thought it was Commissioner.
End this on the legislative as is, and let them hash it out. Yes,
we're just accepting the need, as you said.
so we have a motion and a second for this?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Let's move on. Thank you, guys. Okay. Down to the sheriff's office, the theme licensing agreement.
So,
Second.
This is recurring, right, every year?
It's in your packet.
Yeah, that's snowman.
They get it every year.
Yeah.
do it every year.
Yeah, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
I want to ask a question about the name practice.
I'm sorry,
That's where it's at.
I'm asking, what is
okay, so it's the snowman technology that they do every year. We just voted on it, my fault, but it's the snowman technology that we do every year, and I spoke with, the local office about it too, and it's the normal thing that we go through every year, and it's for the sheriff's department. I'm sorry, I missed that completely. Okay, so Homeland Security Grant, I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, any discussion on that? We want to vote on discussion, or we just vote straight to it? Okay, we're gonna vote for discussion. All in favor, say aye.
I don't have to, the motion, so I need it up.
Okay, go ahead.
The only question I have, because, this is, I understand, I read through it, that it's a part of the FEMA grant, and, because of all the things that have been going on with those, where is this grant in that respect? How
Great question.
Suspend the rules.
That's a question.
Suspend the
Want to make a motion, does anybody want to vote to suspend the rules and ask our EMA director?
Just quick, yes, sir.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Sorry, you're asking about the funding being available and not stopped?
She asked what happens if the FEMA money, if it happened to get stopped from the
It's
federal.
allocated and it's contracted, so if that particular grant's done,
It's gonna be safe either way, right?
it's already in the account, sitting in
Even if those
state
change
Tennessee, and we're already contracted, and we're ready to execute.
So it is there, it won't, because it is in an account, so that the county would not have to, if you use it, and then they call it back.
Yeah, they have a contract that, an executable contract that you've got, that says they'll pay when we make the purchases and submit for reimbursement.
And it's voluntary,
If I may, the allocation has been there, the purchases had to be made to get it.
Okay. Yeah.
For better than a year, this grant's about a year behind. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for him?
Sorry.
Okay, so, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? And then we're gonna adjourn this meeting. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.